I had a wall of flame down here. It was nearly 200 feet above the tree line, and this whole gully was completely on fire. And there was another car here which exploded, and because of the fuel in the tank and so forth. And I was absolutely convinced at that point in time this house was going to go, because having witnessed an explosion over here with my landlord's house, a fireball come out of the sky and just hit the house and it just exploded.
It was only that my son rang me. He was living with us for the summer because he was working in Kinglake, and he rang me from Pheasant Creek and said, "Mum, the fire's just come through here." And I just jumped in the car, drove straight back here. But before I got here, I went over the bridge and Penny rang me and she said, we've enacted our fire plan. She told me where they were, and the flames are coming over now. You won't be able to come here.
Long story short, the man just drove past because it came black within 2 minutes. Not even that. It just went black. And the man drove past in a CFA truck and went, "Get out." And I went, "Mate, not a problem. If the Lord says I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I'm going to choose."
The problem with the house is not that the house burnt, but the roof burnt, because it's Oregon and pine. And once that fell in, everything in the house burnt, nothing to stop it.
The flames in that smoke was way above the mountaintop. There was flames up in the sky. We had time to sit and consider which way we would go. All the people were going into Kinglake, and Hank and I looked at the sky and I thought, hello, we're not going there, because that's the way the wind had changed too. It changed back again from the north, and we made that decision not to go there, and that's why a lot of those people died on that road.
She just said to me that the house across the road, that people had died in that house. So that was the first thing. We didn't know, we had no home, we didn't know that the township, all that sort of stuff had been obliterated. It was just that, death. That was the first thing that we knew.
Immediately after the fire, you couldn't see any green at all. All of that was just black. At night time, the night of the fire, all of that was just like glowworms. Stuff that was still burning and was glowing. In one way, pretty, in another way, frightening.
How do you articulate, how do you express the word hope? Hope means so many things to so many different people. It's like talking about love. How do you express love? I love my cat. I love my dog. I love my wife. I love my children. So how do you articulate the word hope? It's about me having a compassionate heart. Not everyone follows the same beliefs that I do, and that's okay. That's where people are at. Some people are at. But for me, I'm absolutely passionate about the people that I'm working with and dealing with on a regular basis. I'm seeing people 13 months on that are still broken in their lives and still having mental health issues and trauma, grief, bereavement. And so just working with that and dealing with that on a daily basis, 13 months on, I want to see breakthroughs.
Memories are my world with you.
Everything was just black and red. And I said, well, I won't be able to get there. I'll go up the main street, which I did. And then shifted round behind the police station into the car park there. And so Tom messaged me and said he was okay. And I thought, that's good. Mel and Penny are at the safe house. That's great. Everyone's okay. So I sat there while it was dark, it was pitch dark, just with red embers everywhere. And so I stayed there until it started to get light. And then I came back to find Mel and Penny to see how they were. And when I got to the house that they were in, the house was completely burnt to the ground and their cars were sitting in the driveway not untouched. And I just couldn't comprehend it and thought, well, they must have gone somewhere else. They must have gone to the CFA or they've gone with someone. Because thinking anything else was just too horrible. And so I looked for them, spent a few hours looking for them. So I kept going back to the house and thinking, where are they? And I went to the neighbours and they kind of didn't really know. And finally the owner of the house told me, and I didn't want to believe it. And then he said, well, it was my grandchildren, my son were in there as well. And that's when I realised that the worst. Yeah, so Mel and Penny actually died at that house with all their pets that they'd taken, the dogs and the cats and the guinea pig. So as a parent, that's losing two of your children. Losing one would be devastating, but losing two is just unbearable.
Incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible, yeah.
Our other next door neighbour, friend, child, got burnt.
The grandchild.
That was maybe.
Yeah, she couldn't get out.
She was a good friend of yours, wasn't she, Bob?
No, grandparents next door.
We
Like something else?
we had left our dog inside, so we knew that he probably wouldn't have made it, but our cat was outside, and we thought our chook was outside, and we thought, well, they may have had a fighting chance. And then our neighbour next door, because we weren't going to be home that night, she said, I've been over and I had to feed animals and locked them both inside. So, but we found the cat's bones, but we didn't find the dog's bones.
Incredibly lucky. Yeah, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I don't know if Ange told you, but the house next door is a safe house. And 8 people went in and only 3 came out.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's just so thankful that it was his birthday.
Yeah. So you evacuated, or what did you do at the time?
No, well, Graham had already died because he was out getting a pump because the fire was away over in West King Lake West, miles away, but he was putting a pump on to spray, and I wasn't there, no, I was talking to him on the phone. And he told me he was okay, it was all right. And then he was gone. I told him I loved him, and then this horrible, terrible noise came and he was gone. That was it. It's the last I ever spoke to Graham.
We're the Bushfire Support Centre in Hurstbridge, and we've been operating since day one of this disaster. It was a group of volunteers that just decided to make sure that something stayed open in a main town, a major town that was very close to the burnt out areas.
So it was essential that we were non-judgmental. And that it wasn't about a competition about who lost the most. In the early days, the media focused on the loss of a house and the loss of human life, but really, as the disaster continued to unfold, the people that felt left out the most were the people that didn't lose a house. They actually survived that Holocaust somehow, and their house actually survived. But those people didn't feel that they were entitled to grieve because they hadn't lost a house. And we really tried our hardest to ensure that those people knew that they could come here. And if we could help them with food and material aid so that they could save a bit of extra money in order to be able to rebuild that fence or rebuild that shed, well, that was fine by us.
I don't know much about your relationship with your dad.
Oh, long story short, it's his house, my home. Don't bitch that it's his house and he lost some stuff there, but he lives in Queensland. He came down 2 weeks after the fire, pleaded poor me, then went back to Queensland, didn't want to help me, got all the grant money and went and bought another 300 acres. There's the shortened version of it.
Do you reckon you'll ever go back to Flowerday?
Oh. Mate, you got no money. I'm not worth anything out of this to even get stuff. So everything that I have is begged for or donated. I can't afford to save any money because I'm fixing my mother's house for her. But by the time she dies, mate, I don't want to know about wills, anything. Have it, take the lot. Don't bug me anymore. My time is done now. So, mate, there's no money to go and buy another property. There's no money in the bank. There's nothing. So I'm quite lucky that I've got a roof over my head again. Not where I want, but I'll do it anyway.
Where the builder's toilet is virtually where my kitchen was. So the front door was right here. That's where the front door was. The house ran along parallel to the brick wall up there, to the stone wall. But I've dug a lot of that area out now, and even part of the spot where Damien and Marilyn were found, that's now gone. In fact, it has gone. That road up there you see through the mountain, that's the road that I escaped on. It's Bowden Spur Road. That's where we travelled away from the fire, and it chased us all the way up. But we finally got here, and I saw the new house still standing, and then I saw no, the old one wasn't there. And the heart sank a little bit. But I thought, no, they might have got out. But then when we got down the bottom, we spoke to a couple of CFA guys, and no one had seen them. I spoke to the neighbour, he hadn't seen them. Yeah, very sad. When I investigated over the house, I went straight to the bathroom where they were, but the house was flattened, and there was nothing. It was about 6 inches high all over. But to get to that room, I had to walk over the roof, the tiled roof, and they were concrete tiles. They just broke under my feet, and all I had on was a pair of sandals. And I thought if I fall right through this, I'm going to get horribly burnt. But I didn't fall through, but luckily. We got to the bath, we took the debris off the top of the bath, and we couldn't find anything. So that raised our hopes a little bit. We couldn't find any sign of them in the bath. But it tells you how hot that it was. What was left of their bodies wasn't much. It's a hard thing. I said it was a hard decision for me to come back, but to me, I'm fortunate in a way, in fact you call it fortunate, that I could live in a place where I lost my wife and son, and I'm close to them. If that's some relief, yeah, I enjoy being here.
The radiant heat from the fire, that sent me into panic mode. So I tried to get under the car, and I couldn't because the car was hard down on the ground on the deck because the tyres were on fire and the tyres burst. And so I ran to, I suppose, 5 feet away. I started digging a hole in the side of the road to try and bury myself in the soil, but I had my dog with me and she was on the lead. And the ground was too hard and I couldn't dig with my hands, and I was just running out of oxygen. I just couldn't breathe and kept falling over. And then she got off the lead and she took off and must have ran about 20 feet down the road, and I could just see her. And anyway, so I went to grab her and to drag her back. I was thinking that she was going to get burnt, run into the fires, panicking. And just as I got anywhere near her, she bolted again and went another 10, 15 feet. And you know, I must admit I was pretty aggro at this stage. I thought she was going to get me killed or rotten thing, you know. Anyway, this happened about half a dozen times, but as it turned out, she actually got me through the tree line up there where I couldn't see where I was going, but I was just following her, trying to catch up with her, and she actually led me out into the open paddock here, into an area where there's a bit of a hollow over in this back section here, where we got down in this hollow and laid on the ground together, where the oxygen was. And it's amazing. It's just part of God's plan, because, you know, God brought this little dog into my life, you know, 4 years ago, and I saved her life, you know, having kept her without her being euthanised. And then 4 years later, she saves my life from the fires.
I was watching the fire burn around the grassland slowly. It was just burning around slowly. But those trees caught, and you could see it going up that hill. Now that's where Elizabeth Savage lived up the top of that hill.
Yeah.
And it just went through there, and I was standing there, just seeing it. I couldn't do anything about it. And thinking, how can we put those people up for the night? Not realising
it's coming up here.
Because you can't see it from where I was.
No.
We had a pump on the side of the pool there, ready to pump it out of the pool. Didn't have time to activate it because once that caught, my car was here. It caught. The garden area was here, and the wind was just blowing the flames, you know, horizontally across. So the garden caught, and then we had a sunroom in this area here, and that caught. Now once that caught, I mentally said, "Oh well, the house is gone." Yeah. And we weren't even able to get the pump going. Had no time to get the pump going to try and slow this down. But I think that's all we could have done, is slow it down.
Yeah. The mud brick church recessed back from the hill that may not have been noticed before. As a result of some very, very horrific circumstances, that now it's been identified in the community and it's given a much higher profile.
We do believe that our community dinners on Monday nights can be a place where people walk in the door, meet new friends, see you next Monday, come back, spend time with each other, have a meal regularly together, and know that there are people here who will be there, some in the same position as them, some who understand the same thing, and some who are just there to listen and say, well, we didn't go through that, but you're part of our community and we care about you. And we went through that, you know, when we heard the news, our hearts were broken for that.
Good to come here every Monday night, mate. Believe me, it is. Don't know what. I just get up every day and deal with it again. No light at the end of the tunnel, mate. No light at all.
Because a lot of Kinglakeians have got tattoos, right? You know, and it was like almost a bit of a craze going on, but they were all like, you know, flames and stuff like that, and I just wanted something to remember Kinglake by. And I just sat down one night and just started drawing, and this is the design I came up with, as you can see. You know, Kinglake up the top, and the 4 epicormic buds. That's our family that survived, and just the date down the bottom as the roots, but it was just to signify my roots will always be there. Because when I first turned up to Kinglake, I said, "This is where I die." You know.
But when the women all had their first bush to beach retreat back in June, some of the guys that were coming in here said, "Well, you know, what about us? We want something." And I said, "Well, what do you want?" "Oh, a fishing trip or something like that." I said, "Okay, all right, well, we'll look into that." And we sort of kept thinking that, you know, surely, you know, something will be done specifically to get men away on their own over a period of time, for a period of time, so that they could all have a chance to unwind.
Just getting men to open up again, I think. See, and there's a big battle, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this fishing trip, just to see what 30 blokes can sit down and actually talk about, you know, and see what comes out, because you can only contain it so long, and the lid will blow off.
That's right, it has
Yeah.
to.
The Great Barrier is for more knowledge. All right, guys, let's go. Let's do it again. Let's do
The guys are just starting to talk about how they felt about it, you know. And we're blokes, you know. We don't like to talk about, I felt frightened or I was scared or, you know, I'm nervous about this. So that's what we've got to watch, and it's not now. It's not after the event that we're going to worry. It's now and for the next couple of years. I reckon that's when problems are going to start arising with guys. The guys are drinking a bit more, but we're keeping an eye on each other. You know? But yeah, look, they just clam up. That's what I'm worried about. Guys just clam up, you know. And there's been suicides on the mountain since, you know? And I just don't want that to happen anymore, mates. So I've had enough bloody death this year.
It's definitely good therapy this weekend away for the blokes, isn't it?
Oh, for a lot of them, yeah.
People say, oh, you'll get over it. I'll never get over it. I'll get to learn to live with it. Like I felt in the beginning, I actually had to get into the fire before I could get out of the fire. So I did these, and you know, I lost my husband.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So it was really quite difficult. And all those people
crosses
who died, you know, the land that's died. And it's trying to find myself in amongst all the...
I remember Elizabeth coming in the very first time, and I remember I could see the pain and the grief that Elizabeth, what do you say? I mean, was consumed by, just by the way she walked.
There's been so many invaders, they just think, oh my gosh, it just looks so beautiful. Look at these burnt timbers, aren't they beautiful? And you think, I can say that, but you can't. Those burnt timbers, and you probably saw them out there, they're what Graham and I built our house from. There's a story behind every bit of timber that we scrounged or carted, you know, and built our house, so I just didn't appreciate it.
We missed you on the fishing trip, though.
Yeah, so did I, mate.
Yeah.
So did I.
I had to go to the doctors to get a certificate for work, and Bo had been saying, oh, I've got a bit of a lump, and so I said, well, come to the doctors with me. And I think that was like near the end of November, and like by the start of December he was operated on, and it just happened really quickly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I don't really know if I'm up to this, John.
No.
There's other stuff going on.
Oh, he was just really lethargic and emotionally. Plus, I think he was operated on, say, like the 5th of December, and we were moving house from the 11th of December. So it was operation, moving house, lots of stuff going on. Yeah.
Before I go,
yeah.
Just for Susan, you?
Mate, I hope you guys have a good Christmas. All right? Alright?
We talk about
Good luck. Okay.
You know, all I want is for them to be here, but there's nothing that will make that happen.
We used to take Jan, or we do, take Jan out for meals, and we would try and be happy and raise her spirits a little bit, and then we'd have some good. We always talk about the girls, and we'd talk about fun things, and she would light up during those times.
Yeah.
But straight away, there's a sadness that that comes across her face, and you could see her mind suddenly go into the distance. And Chris said one night, there's too many negatives in her life, and there's nothing for her to look forward to. There's no positives.
I lay in bed and I thought, maybe I could get her the land that's next door to where she lived with the girls, because I knew that land had already been sold. I was actually going to try to keep it a surprise, but then I realised to set up a trust fund and a bank account, it's very hard to do it sneakily. And I ended up saying to Sandy, I think we should tell Jan. So we brought her here and we told her, and she was amazed. She cried, but happy tears. When people give the money, a lot of them write a letter and they send a letter along. And the letters are just absolutely amazing, just the encouragement, the love from people. That's really, really, really good. Yeah, Jan responds very well. Just knowing that people out there that don't know her are willing to support her, she can feel the love from people.
Want a cup of tea, Mum?
No, right there.
Sure?
I've got water and I've got a fruit, Mum.
I've got a red back, Mum. What do you want me to say?
It's like out of a movie.
This is what my mother has to shower on. See the little chair in there? Mum can't fit in there. Mum fell down in there. So, yeah, no, I've got to get some curtains. I better. Don't we, Mum?
What?
We've got to get some curtains.
Yes, we do.
Right, that'll be the next project, I think. I think that'll be in first week of January. We'll do the curtains. We can put up till then.
So, mate, what's your mum's condition?
She's blind and diabetic, and the kidneys have gone. Basically, when she found out she was diabetic, because she went to the doctors for a checkup, I think. By that stage, it was already gone too far, so we're just prolonging it now. So, kidneys affects the diabetic, affects the eyes, the kidneys, feet, blood, and a whole heap of other little things.
So how do you go? How do you go if you want to go out, as far as who can you get in to look after Mum?
Nobody, I don't go out.
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere. A, I don't want to, because of... don't want to. B, I don't go out. I've got too much to do.
As you said before, the only time would be the dinner, but you bring Mum to the dinner, so it's one night out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no time for... Oh, my time is 11 o'clock till about 2 o'clock at night when Mum goes to bed and I sit there and go... and drink. And then don't sleep.
So anyway, eventually I sort of got myself on my feet a bit with a vehicle, and I didn't have any money to spare, so I went and got a bank loan and took out a loan and bought a log splitter, which I was trying to look at the grassroots side of things and trying to help people. And I thought, well, okay, I've got winter coming up, and people are living in caravans and sheds and tents, and I thought, well, I've got to keep warm somehow, so I thought if I purchased a log splitter, I could be able to split wood, and at least be able to have a pot-belly stove or something to keep warm.
Yeah, John's helped us out with a few things. He manages to get hold of things from here and there that people are getting rid of, or things that need a new home, and he's bought a few bits of equipment in for us to use. So yeah, he's a good bloke, been helping a lot of people in the area.
And I happened to run into Diamond Valley Baptist Church, and I went down there because I heard they were putting on a meal for people from the bushfire affected areas, and so I went down for a feed. I'll go anywhere for a free feed, So, but anyway, yeah, and this is where I met John Graham and so forth, and and they heard about what I was doing and with the log splitter and trying to help at the grassroots level, and very kindly paid out the loan that I took out to purchase the log splitter, and which was a big help for me, because I didn't really need to be in, something like $1,800 worth of debt, so.
Yeah.
But there it is. So the loan's been paid out, and the machine's ours, and I've done close on 400 tonne of timber on my own, spreading, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
This was our home for 28 years. We loved the view, we loved the area. We'd chosen it in the first place. So we were quite happy to come back. Yes, things are going to be different. Some things are going to be better. But we're going to miss a lot, You lose all your records, your photographs, even your tax returns. Because of Lynn's requirements, I knew we had to build this to suit her to live in. And the architect was trying to get me to say, well, tell me how much you can afford to spend. And I was saying, no, that's not the criteria. I want it built to what we need, and then I'll have to continue working till I pay for it. And so I'm sort of working flat out again, and I'll do so until I've covered the cost of it. And it's quite a big increased cost on what we had before, and certainly what I had it insured for.
I bet you must be looking forward to that day of finally moving in.
Yeah, be great. Our journey will have come to a conclusion.
That's Penny and Ben there.
Where was
small
that?
picture. That was actually in Ireland or Scotland. Yeah.
That's the one you were telling us where you turned up.
Yeah, we turned up for a surprise on her 21st. She didn't know anything about it, and he just turned up. Oh, that's a good one of Ben there. Ben and Penny.
Right after the fires, I realised, I guess I felt it my duty, I suppose, to support Jan in whatever way I could. And, I sort of made it my priority to ensure that, she was, being looked after and getting as much support as she needed. And the option came up where she could come and stay at our house. We had a couple of spare bedrooms, and so she was sort of staying with us for a while, and then Dad approached me one day and said, he was thinking about building a small self-contained unit on the property for Jan.
Danny and Faye are Ben's mum and dad, and they live here, so I'm living here with them at the moment. Yeah. And, yes, very kindly of supporting me, and now building a little flat out the back, which I'll live in.
We have a veranda on the north side. Those trees that are there, we're going to trim them down so she'll get the sun coming through and a bit of a view. The veranda along the front, so she'll be able to park her cars there and walk across.
To me, all these things that people are doing and the blessings that I'm feeling from it are, God in action. He inspires people to do kind things, and I've been the recipient of a lot of kind things, so I feel that that's God saying to me that he cares about what's happened.
That's how I chose to live. I wanted to be here. I said I didn't have to be here. I said RACV would have gladly paid me accommodation elsewhere with my house insurance, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. I wanted to be where my family was. Not too many people get the chance to live where their family passed. I know that might sound a bit corny to people, but I know they're there. They're not far away from me. They're always with you. Yeah, they're always with me. And always will be. Like I've moved on with Susie, sure, but some people are sort of frowning upon that, but she's not just my partner in that sense. She's been my rock to get through this. And without her help, no, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Just that external crutch for me. Susie and I are hoping to put together a couple of businesses. We've been working on business plans to present to... We're going to try and stay away from the bank because I'm now debt-free. But we might have to go to the bank and lease some equipment. The government just announced an initiative where they want small business to thrive in the bushfire areas, so they're willing to actually fund 50% of what we spend. So we've got to get it right, and if we can get 50% of what we want to spend, it's more money from what we can actually buy and better equipment. You know, so if we can manage to get that, yeah, that'll put us back where we want to be.
Yeah, I think I've started to get a bit more serious about it. Or the earlier ones, I suppose I was really had this urgency just to express myself, and whereas now I suppose I'm thinking more, I actually want to do a bit more serious work. And
there were a few girls that we really, they were really doing it hard. Not that we weren't doing it hard, but they were doing it harder, and we just said, you know, we're neighbours, we have to support one another, and we can do this. So we decided to have a lunch, and so I just went around to every house, or to every property, and if anyone was there, invited them to lunch. Yeah, Elizabeth's been part of the Ladies of the Black Belt since the beginning, and I hope that we could help her because she's helped us.
to know that you're being carried in prayer groups or community, you know, like you get a quilt or a Christmas pudding, or you're being prayed for, and you know that you're being carried, even if you don't know the people. There'll be some sign somewhere that that person, that group has been carrying you. You're not alone.
It's so peaceful, you won't know what to do with yourself.
It was going to be.
I've got a good plan for you.
How come you've stopped drinking? I don't know. I've been really weird after we went away that weekend. I don't know. It wasn't a real good weekend to go away, but it was an eventful weekend. Where'd you go? No, we went fishing.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I've been real... I don't know.
What do you mean weird?
I don't know weird. I don't have... There's no pressure on me, sort of thing. I don't know. It's like I'm trying to remember it. It's like I've forgotten it. I know I was in it, but I've forgotten it, sort of thing. I don't know.
You've done much of this kind of stuff before you came in?
No. I'm a hospitality background, mate. My beautiful hands. Ruined, destroyed. They say it's good for me, apparently, at the moment. I don't know. This is my mum's bedroom. We walked up. New bed, new mattress, everything new. This is how life should be. This is all moved in on the weekend. Clean, spotless. Look at that. You like that, Mum?
Oh, yes.
You like that? I went home the other day, Friday. I went home for the first time in 6 months, 7 months, something like that. Pushing 8 months nearly, I reckon. First time I went home.
Who'd you go up there with?
Friend.
A friend, oh.
A friend.
That sounds a bit secretive, Alfie.
It's a friend. It's a friend who's being very understanding at the moment and has really thrown me on my arse.
What do you mean it's thrown
It's a
you on your
female
arse?
friend. Nothing.
Tomorrow is Tully's, where's Tull? Jack Sparrow, aka Jack Sparrow's 3rd birthday. So we decided that we'd have his birthday today, just because we want to go to memorials and things like that. Because Tully's such a pirate boy, we thought we'd have a pirate party. And it's just I don't know, just a bit of, I suppose in some ways it's, you know, bittersweet relief, you know, because his first birthday, there's people that aren't still here that were at his first birthday.
It's just grouse to have his birthday before, because there's a bit of positivity about it and all that, and just all get together and today and have a good time, and tomorrow is when we'll start to think about it again.
It's so good to see Bo looking kind of happy for a change.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I've really seen him with a smile on his face.
You know, yeah, he's come through his treatment remarkably well. Like, you know, compared to, you know, other people that, you know, get sick and this, that and the otherwise, he's come through really, really well. So, yeah, it's good. And he was looking forward to today. You know, I think we're sort of kind of looking forward to tomorrow just to catch up with people and just to talk and all that sort of stuff. But it's that whole, you know, whole thing.
On behalf of the Diamond Valley Baptist Church, we welcome each of you attending this memorial service on the first anniversary of Black Saturday, particularly those that are with us here tonight as survivors.
Sunday was full on. There was a lot of people there. I suppose, I mean, you know that a lot of people have lost family and friends, but you don't realise until you go to something like that how many people, how big it is. You know, there's, I don't know how many 100 people were there, but, you know, everybody's grieving and you just think that's massive. Massive amount of people. I mean, it's something that you kind of dread, but you wouldn't miss it. You know, you wouldn't miss it. But probably the acknowledgement. I mean, to us, every day is a sad day, not just the 1 year anniversary. Every day's sad, we miss them. But, you know, it's the one day that it gets publicly acknowledged, so, yeah, there's some kind of comfort in that.
And let me say this to all of us together, there's no timetable for grieving. For those of you who've lost much, there's no rush to move on. For what you leave behind is loved ones and family and friends and memories of a lifetime.
For others and for even the people who haven't probably come as far as they thought they would, they really can't believe how much they have been able to achieve. And as long as their health remains well, they remain physically and mentally well, then everyone will get back home again. But it's just knowing, they need to know that there's still the support out there and that they don't get forgotten about, because it is a it's just a very hard road. And so I'm hoping that there'll be many volunteers, agencies and governments that will continue to support these people for quite a number of years.
The most heartwarming thing I remember seeing up here is seeing the good old Australian Aussie flag parked on people's letterboxes out the front of all these burnt out homes up here. And it brought tears to your eyes, you know. And I thought the good old Aussie comradeship and spirit, I thought it was dead long ago, you know. But no, it was resurrected and through the fires here, and we all banded together. Neighbours I never even knew, people I never even knew. And we just all were in the same boat together, and we all end up helping each other.
Those two cases looked alright. If the brass looks alright, keep it, because it's very rare. It's not a very common calibre, and it's very expensive brass.
Ever met your female equivalent? No, I'm not joking.
I'm curious, mate.
Why? She likes guns.
She likes guns.
So cool, she came around and cleaned my shotgun for me the other day. How cool was that?
You're shooting high and right. Go the
But
right
the bottom
side.
left peg?
No. Right side.
Don't tell me where to shoot, tell me what to shoot. No, let me rephrase that. I adjusted it according to where the 270 was shooting. We know it's shooting about an inch low. So I aimed about an inch high.
Oh, mate, any woman that knows how to clean a gun, beautiful.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
That's cool, mate.
Look, undoubtedly, my Christian faith, our Christian faith, has been a tremendous help in all of those circumstances. And through those sorts of experiences, you begin to understand what the Lord said when He said, "Cast all your cares upon me, for I care for you." And it's a wonderful thing to know that. It's even better to experience it.
Well, I said to Susie there was a period there where there was one day, I can't remember exactly how long after the fire it was, I actually wrote my own epitaph. I was thinking seriously, yeah. For that day, that half a day, I thought seriously. You know, I had nothing, absolutely nothing. Look, they say everybody thinks that way once in their life. Well, that was my half a day.
Yeah. That was half a day of hopelessness.
It was. That was early in the morning too.
And now there are lots of days filled with hope.
Well, next week I'm hopping on a plane and flying to South America, and then going to the very southern tip of South America and catching the ship and going to Antarctica. Which is pretty good, because that's been one of my dreams, one of my life dreams. John and Janet are friends that live in Queensland, and they're both marine biologists, and John's been to Antarctica many times, so he's the expedition leader, and they just said, "Oh, we've booked a berth for you." So, okay, it's the end of the second full day we've had here on the ship. Just this will be our third evening, and it's been quite exciting because in the last half hour we have seen humpback whales, and we've spotted our first icebergs, and also the first land we've seen for a couple of days, the South Shetland Islands.
It makes you realise what's really important to you, but it also makes you realise what shit you just don't put up with anymore. It sort of puts a better focus on things, and I think for a lot of people, a lot of relationships and people that I've spoken to, that's how people have stood back, and it's brought some people closer, but it's sent some other people apart. And I think in a lot of ways it's sent us apart, because it's just been, and you know, and then the cancer stuff on top of that, and it's just been such a trying time. I don't know what's at the end of the day. I don't know what's going to happen with Bo and I never say never. I never say never that I'm never going to move back to Kinglake, because I don't know. I don't know what the future holds.
What does being back at uni mean for you?
It's a big step for me in reclaiming what was a big part of my life. Some people talk about unis as degree factories.
Yep.
And I can actually understand that concept. But I also have to disagree with it because it's what you put into it yourself, and it's also what you want to get out of it yourself. So when I've been to uni, it's just been because I've wanted to do it, you know. It's opened so many opportunities and horizons for me. And that's what I love about uni.
Over this last 6 months, as we've journeyed with people, we've found that there's a whole different range of displays of what hope means for people. It comes in different forms. And it's mostly grounded in relationship, whether it's with a new pet, a new next-door neighbour, a newfound friend, someone that's entered into someone's life for the first time. But the bottom line is that as human beings, we're created in order to relate to other human beings and to other situations.
No, this is part of the thing, you know, just everybody helping one another, good old Aussie spirit there.
And I would like to put it on record how much I appreciate the people of Victoria and beyond, how they've responded and how that's filtered through to me.
You know, the generosity in some parts of the community has been absolutely overwhelming. It really has.
And let me say this to all of us together. There's no timetable for grieving. For those of you who've lost much, there's no rush to move on. For what you leave behind is loved ones and family and friends and memories of a lifetime. But we're hoping, and we are praying, that together you will move on, and that there will be hope for you, that there can be hope.
Oldest in the morning sun.
But one thing I do know is that word hope keeps coming up all the time, and it's come from a lot of different directions, particularly in the last 6 months, come from a lot of different people, different things you see and hear. People have given me little gemstones and said things like, I don't know why, but I just feel the word hope goes with this, and they've given it to me. Someone will give me something that's got hope written on it, so it was a constant theme, particularly in the last 6 months. So, I mean, I can't say that I feel hopeful all the time. You know, I can't say that I'm happy all the time, because I'm not. And, you know, the whole thing really sucks. But if there's one tiny little positive thing, it's the hope. Hope that I'll see them again.
I'll sleep.